At my baby shower, my mother-in-law handed me a dog bowl and said, "Since you can't give us a baby, this suits you." I smiled, raised my glass and said, "Funny, Linda. I brought something too, something that might change how you see your precious son forever." The room went silent. I still remember the first time I took a pregnancy test. The excitement, the butterflies, the way Chris hovered outside the bathroom door asking, "Well? Anything?" Every 28 days became a cycle of hope and devastation that slowly chipped away at my soul. That was 5 years ago. 5 years of negative tests lined up like little plastic tombstones for dreams that never had a chance to live. Today marks the 61st test. I've counted each one, kept them hidden in a shoebox at the back of my closet where Chris won't find them. He stopped waiting outside the bathroom door somewhere around test 37. "It's negative," I announced to our empty bedroom. Chris left for work early again, avoiding the monthly morning ritual. The distant slam of cabinet doors tells me he's still home, hiding in the kitchen. I drop the test into the trash can and wash my hands thoroughly, as if I could somehow rinse away the disappointment. When I enter the kitchen, Chris barely looks up from his coffee. "No luck?" he asks, though we both know the answer. "Not this month," I reply, reaching for a mug. My voice sounds hollow even to my own ears. There's a heaviness between us that wasn't there in the beginning, when each negative result was met with, "We'll try again next month," and comforting embraces. Now it's just silence and averted eyes. "Mom called," Chris says, changing the subject. "They want us over for dinner on Sunday." My stomach clenches. "Linda." My mother-in-law with her razor-sharp comments disguised as concern. "Do we have to? I've got that presentation to prepare for Monday." "Amanda," Chris sighs, his voice tinged with that familiar mix of exhaustion and irritation. "It's just dinner. She misses us." What he means is she misses him. Linda tolerates me as the woman who married her precious son, and fails month after month to produce the grandchild she desperately wants. Fine, I concede, because it's easier than fighting. But I'm leaving by 8. Sunday arrives with depressing inevitability. Linda's suburban ranch-style home looks exactly like every other house on Maple Drive, except for the garden gnomes she collects like silent, judging sentinels. The smell of pot roast hits me as we walk through the door. Linda's specialty, cooked perfectly as always. There they are. Linda's voice carries from the kitchen. She emerges, wiping her hands on a dish towel, embracing Chris first, always first, before turning to me with a practiced smile. "Amanda, sweetie, you look tired. Are you sleeping okay?" Translation: "You look awful. No wonder my son isn't happy." "I'm fine, Linda. Just busy at work." I hand her the bottle of wine we brought, which she accepts with a nod. "Well, come in, come in. Your cousin Sarah just had her baby, Chris. The pictures are adorable. I put them on the fridge." The evening progresses with predictable precision. Linda's dining room, with its formal cherry furniture and china cabinet displaying wedding gifts she never uses, feels suffocating. Throughout dinner, she peppers the conversation with updates about everyone who's recently reproduced. And Julie's expecting twins. Can you imagine? She's going to have her hands full. Linda laughs, serving apple pie. Sarah says the delivery was easier than she expected. Just 6 hours of labor. She's already talking about having another. I focus intently on my dessert, counting the apple slices to keep from screaming. Chris says nothing, just nods and smiles. He never defends me. Never changes the subject. Sometimes I wonder if he enjoys watching me squirm under his mother's scrutiny. "When's it going to be your turn, Amanda?" Linda asks, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Chris would make such a wonderful father." There it is. The question she asks every single time we visit. "We're working on it, Linda," I reply, the practiced response automatic now. "Well, don't wait too long. The clock is ticking, you know. Women have a finite window." She taps her wristwatch for emphasis. On the drive home, Chris and I sit in silence until I can't stand it anymore. "You could have said something." "What do you want me to say, Amanda? You know how she is." "That's not an excuse," I snap. "She treats me like I'm defective and you just sit there." Chris grips the steering wheel tighter. "Look, I'm caught in the middle here. She's my mother. And I'm your wife." The words hang between us, heavy with all the things we no longer say to each other. The next morning, I find myself staring at the calendar on my desk at work. My period is 4 days late, but I'm afraid to hope. I've been late before only to be crushed by disappointment. My coworker Jen stops by my cubicle, coffee in hand. You okay? You've been staring at that calendar like it holds the secrets of the universe. I force a smile. Just tracking a project deadline. Later that week, during my annual physical, Dr. Mitchell reviews my chart with the same professional warmth she's shown for years. Everything looks good, Amanda. Your tests are all normal. All normal. I repeat, the words catching in my throat. Even my hormone levels? Fertility markers. She glances up, her expression softening. Yes, everything indicates normal reproductive function. Are you and Chris still trying to conceive? The question hits me like a physical blow. 5 years, I whisper. Dr. Mitchell's brow furrows slightly. Have you both been tested? Sometimes male factors can. Chris refuses, I interrupt. He says it's probably me, that his family has never had issues conceiving. She hands me my medical records, pointing to specific test results. Amanda, there's nothing in your workup that would explain difficulty conceiving. Nothing at all. I stare at the paper, the black and white evidence contradicting everything I've come to believe about myself. For years I've carried the weight of our failure to conceive. For years Linda's comments have cut deeper because I believed them. Walking to my car, clutching the folder with my test results, something shifts inside me. A tiny spark of anger ignites where shame once lived. 3 days later, a pale pink envelope arrives in our mailbox addressed to me. Inside is an invitation written in Linda's unmistakable flowing script. You're invited to a special gathering to celebrate new beginnings. The date, time, and her address are listed along with a note. No need to RSVP. Just come as you are. I trace the embossed border with my fingertip, confusion giving way to suspicion. Linda has never thrown me a party. Why no? The answer comes when I turn over the invitation and see 2 words written in smaller text. Baby shower. I hold the baby shower invitation between trembling fingers, the words baby shower, mocking me as the pieces click into place. This isn't a celebration, it's an ambush. A public humiliation orchestrated by Linda. 5 years of failure on display for everyone to see. Chris, I call out that evening, my voice steadier than I feel. We need to talk. He's lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone. The physical distance between us a perfect mirror of our emotional state. About what? I hand him the invitation. Your mother is throwing me a baby shower. His eyes widen momentarily before his expression shifts to something unreadable. Maybe she's trying to be optimistic? Optimistic. I repeat, incredulity sharpening my tone. This is cruel and you know it. 5 years, Chris. 5 years of negative tests, and not once has your mother shown genuine support. Now this. He sighs, running a hand through his hair. What do you want me to do, Amanda? I want you to come with me to see Dr. Reynolds next week. I've been building up to this request for months. The fertility specialist I mentioned. As a couple. I can't next week. The Peterson account. The week after then. Amanda, work is insane right now. The merger. It's always something, isn't it? The realization dawns slowly, like a cold sunrise. You don't want to go. His gaze drops to the floor. I just don't see the point. We've been through this. You've had tests. And they're normal, I interject, pulling out the folder from my purse. Completely normal. Dr. Mitchell confirmed it last week. Chris's face pales slightly as I spread the papers on the coffee table. These things are complicated, he mutters. Which is exactly why we need to see a specialist together. Both of us. After 2 hours of circular arguments, he reluctantly agrees to an appointment 3 weeks out. Just long enough, I notice, to potentially conflict with a business trip he's mentioned. The pattern is so clear now that I'm looking for it. The morning of the appointment arrives, and with it the predictable text message. Emergency at work. Can't make appointment. Reschedule. I don't respond. Instead, I drive alone to the modern glass building housing Dr. Reynolds' practice. The waiting room is filled with couples, their hopeful energy making my solitude even more pronounced. Mrs. Anderson? The nurse calls, leading me to an office rather than an exam room. Dr. Reynolds is a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a direct manner I appreciate immediately. Your husband couldn't make it? She asks, glancing at the empty chair beside me. Work emergency, I reply, the excuse sounding hollow even to my ears. She nods, reviewing my file. I see you've been trying to conceive for 5 years with no success, despite normal test results. She looks up, meeting my gaze. Mrs. Anderson, Amanda, has your husband been tested? No. The word hangs between us. He's resistant to the idea. Dr. Reynolds leans forward slightly. In my 20 years of practice, I've found that when a partner consistently avoids testing, they sometimes already know, or suspect, the results. Her words crystallize the nebulous suspicions I've carried for months. You think Chris knows he's infertile? I'm not making any diagnosis without tests, she clarifies. But in cases like yours, healthy woman, no conception after years of trying, partner refusing evaluation, it's a possibility worth considering. I leave her office with 2 things, a DNA testing kit and a new perspective on my marriage. Chris's business trip the following week provides the perfect opportunity. The night before he leaves, I watch him pack with methodical precision, noting how he places his electric toothbrush in its travel case. 3 days in Chicago, he says, zipping his suitcase. I'll call when I land. After he leaves, I enter our bathroom and stare at his regular toothbrush still in the holder. The collection process is simpler than I expected. The swab against the bristles, sealed carefully in the sterile container provided by Dr. Reynolds' office. I drive to the clinic immediately, handing over the sample with a mixture of determination and guilt. Results typically take 3 to 5 business days, the technician informs me. Those 5 days stretch into eternity. I function on autopilot, working, cooking, smiling at appropriate times during our nightly video calls while Chris remains oblivious in his Chicago hotel room. The call comes while I'm at lunch with Jen. Dr. Reynolds herself, her voice gentle but direct. Amanda, we have your husband's results. I think you should come in. The office feels smaller this time, the air heavier. Dr. Reynolds doesn't sugarcoat it. The sample shows complete azoospermia, no sperm production whatsoever. This isn't a temporary condition or low-count situation. Based on these results, your husband is completely infertile. The world tilts sideways. Despite my suspicions, hearing the confirmation knocks the breath from my lungs. This type of infertility is often congenital, she continues. Something he's likely known about since adolescence or early adulthood. He knew, I whisper. All this time he knew. Dr. Reynolds offers resources, options, support, but her words flow around me like water around a stone. 5 years of blame and shame. 5 years of Linda's cutting remarks and Chris's silence. 5 years of believing my body had failed us. I drive home in a trance, the truth expanding inside me, filling all the hollow spaces with a cold, clarifying rage. Our house, once a symbol of our future family, now feels like a monument to lies. In a daze, I wander into Chris's home office searching for what? Confirmation? Evidence? In the bottom drawer of his desk I find it, a bottle of prenatal vitamins. Not mine. New, sealed, with a handwritten note taped to the cap and Linda's flowing script. For when she finally accepts reality and you can move forward with someone who can give you children. Reality crashes over me like a wave. Not only did Chris know about his infertility, but he and Linda have been planning for a future without me. The vitamins weren't meant for me. They were meant for whoever would replace me once I was discarded for failing at something that was never possible to begin with. I sink to the floor, the bottle clutched in my hand as the final pieces of the puzzle lock into place. The baby shower invitation suddenly makes perfect, terrible sense. A public breaking point designed to end our marriage on Linda's terms. But Linda doesn't know what I know now. And Chris doesn't know that I know either. For the first time in 5 years I feel a strange sense of power. The truth has been unearthed, and with it, a determination I thought had withered away through years of disappointment. I place the vitamins back exactly as I found them and close the drawer. Then I pick up my phone and make an appointment. Not with Dr. Reynolds this time, but with another specialist altogether. One who can help me move forward on my terms. The specialist I made an appointment with is Dr. Vivian Chin, who specializes in reproductive options for complex situations. She listens intently as I explain everything. The test results, the prenatal vitamins, the years of deception. So you haven't confronted your husband yet? She asks, her expression professional but compassionate. Not yet. I wanted to understand all my options first. Dr. Chin outlines various paths forward: divorce, counseling, donor sperm. Each possibility branches out before me like roads on a map. By the time I leave her office, I have a plan and something I haven't felt in years: agency. Chris returns from Chicago with a small gift: a ceramic mug with the Chicago skyline. A peace offering, perhaps, or a token of guilt. He places it on the kitchen counter between us, a miniature monument to our fractured marriage. "How was your week?" he asks, loosening his tie. I take a deep breath. Illuminating. Something in my tone must alert him because his movements slow, his eyes finally, truly, focusing on me. "What does that mean?" "I know, Chris." My voice is calm, belying the storm inside me. "I know you're infertile. I know you've always known." The color drains from his face. He opens his mouth, closes it, then grips the counter edge. "How? Does it matter?" "What matters is you let me believe it was my fault. For 5 years. Amanda, I can explain." "Please do." I cross my arms, steeling myself. "Explain why you watched me cry every month. Why you let your mother torment me about something that could never happen." He sinks into a kitchen chair, suddenly looking smaller. "I was diagnosed when I was 16. Some childhood illness. Mumps, they think, caused it. Mom took me to specialists, but the prognosis never changed." His voice cracks. "Do you know what it's like to be told at 16 that you'll never have biological children?" Despite everything, a flicker of sympathy stirs within me. "It must have been devastating. But that doesn't explain why you hid it from me when we got serious. When we got married." "I was going to tell you," he insists, tears forming. "But then Mom said." "Linda," I interrupt, the name bitter on my tongue. "Of course. She said if you really loved me it wouldn't matter. That we could adopt or something later. But she also said." He hesitates. "Said what, Chris?" "That if you knew before we were married you might leave. That lots of women want biological children and I might lose my chance at happiness." A tear slides down his cheek. "She said after we were married for a while, if children became important, we could say we discovered the issue together. That it would be easier that way." The calculated cruelty of it steals my breath. "And the monthly pregnancy tests? Watching me fall apart? Was that easier?" "I didn't know how to tell you after so much time had passed." Mom said. "Stop telling me what Linda said." My palm slams against the counter, the sound sharp in our kitchen. "You're a grown man, Chris. You made these choices. You chose to lie to me every single day for years." His shoulders slump. "You're right. I was a coward." "And the prenatal vitamins in your desk?" The note from Linda. His head snaps up, genuine shock crossing his features. "What vitamins? What note?" For a moment I question whether he's telling the truth, but the confusion in his eyes seems genuine. "In your desk drawer. Prenatal vitamins with a note from Linda about me accepting reality so you could move on with someone who could give you children." "Amanda, I swear I didn't know about that. Mom must have put them there when she visited last month." "I never." He rubs his face roughly. "I wouldn't." "Wouldn't what? Lie to me? Conspire with your mother? Because you've been doing exactly that for our entire relationship." We talk for hours, tears flowing freely between accusations and apologies. Dawn breaks over our neighborhood as Chris finally confesses the full extent of Linda's manipulation. How she convinced him I would want the baby shower to help me move on. How she's been introducing him to fertile young women from her church group at family gatherings, positioning them near him while I was occupied elsewhere. "I never wanted anyone else," he whispers. "Just you. I thought eventually we'd adopt or something. But you never discussed it with me. You never gave me the chance to make informed decisions about my own life." He reaches for my hand across the table. I let him take it, feeling nothing but a dull ache where love used to reside. "We can fix this," he pleads. "Counseling. A fresh start. I'll tell Mom to back off permanently." I gently withdraw my hand. "I've made an appointment with a fertility clinic." Confusion clouds his expression. "But I just told you. Not for us. For me." The words hang between us, their implications clear. "I still want children, Chris. Children that should have been ours if you'd been honest." "You're leaving me." "It's not a question. I haven't decided yet. But I'm moving forward with or without you." The following weeks pass in a strange limbo. Chris sleeps in the guest room. He attends one therapy session with me before claiming work conflicts prevent him from continuing. Some things never change. Meanwhile, I begin the IVF process in secret. Dr. Chin helps me select a donor with similar features to Chris. A final mercy I'm not sure he deserves. Each appointment feels like reclaiming a piece of myself, each injection a step toward the future that was stolen from me. Linda calls relentlessly. Chris must have told her something, though I don't know what. I let her messages pile up unanswered, a small act of defiance. 3 weeks before the scheduled baby shower, I sit on the bathroom floor at 5 a.m., staring at the pregnancy test in my trembling hands. 2 pink lines. Clear and undeniable. Positive. After 5 years of negatives, the sight is so foreign I take 3 more tests. All positive. A hysterical laugh bubbles up from somewhere deep inside me, mingling with tears that seem endless. I'm pregnant. Alone and pregnant and terrified and elated all at once. I hide the tests in my bedside drawer beneath a stack of books. Not out of shame, but because this joy is mine alone for now. This secret is the opposite of Chris's. Not one that harms, but one that heals. Not a lie, but a new truth taking shape. The baby shower invitation sits on my dresser. No longer a threat but an opportunity. Linda thinks it will be my breaking point, the public humiliation that finally shatters me. She has no idea what's coming. I place a protective hand over my still flat stomach. For the first time in years I feel something like peace. Whatever happens at that shower, I won't be facing it alone. The 3 weeks leading up to Linda's baby shower pass in a blur of morning sickness and strategic planning. I tell no one about the pregnancy, not even my sister Jenna, who calls twice to ask if I'm really attending whatever weird thing Linda is planning. Trust me, is all I say. Chris and I orbit each other like distant planets, sharing space but rarely connecting. He makes awkward attempts at reconciliation, bringing home takeout from my favorite restaurant, suggesting weekend getaways, but it's as if he's reading from a script written by someone who doesn't know me at all. Maybe he never did. The morning of the shower arrives crisp and sunny, mocking the storm brewing inside me. I stand before my closet, selecting a fitted emerald dress that subtly accentuates my still flat stomach. My hair falls in loose waves, makeup applied with careful precision. If this is to be a showdown, I want to look my best. Chris hovers in the doorway, his expression uncertain. Are you sure you want to go? We could just say you're sick. I secure the clasp on my necklace, a gift from my mother. I've been sick for 5 years, Chris. Today I'm feeling much better. He doesn't understand, of course. How could he? The envelope containing the DNA test results and my first ultrasound image rests in my purse like a loaded gun. Evidence. Truth. Power. Linda's street is lined with cars when we arrive. More than I expected. I recognize vehicles belonging to Chris's cousins, Linda's church friends, some of our mutual acquaintances. This isn't an intimate gathering. It's a public spectacle. Quite a turnout, I murmur as Chris helps me from the car. His complexion pales. Mom said it would just be family. Your mother says a lot of things. The front door opens before we reach it. Linda resplendent in a floral dress, her smile sharp as a knife. There you are. Everyone's waiting. The living room has been transformed with pastel decorations, pink and blue streamers, a banner reading New Beginnings, and a table piled with wrapped gifts. About 20 people turn to stare as we enter, their expressions ranging from curiosity to pity. I recognize the pity immediately. They know. All these people were invited specifically because they know about my failure as a woman. Linda's best friend Marjorie approaches first, embracing me with the exaggerated gentleness one might use with terminal patients. Amanda, you're so brave, she whispers. I extricate myself from her grip, smiling placidly. It's just a party, Marjorie. Chris's cousin Taylor catches my eye from across the room and offers a sympathetic grimace. At least someone here seems uncomfortable with Linda's charade. Let's get everyone settled, Linda announces, ushering people toward the arranged chairs. I have a little presentation first. I take a seat in what is clearly the position of honor, a decorated chair at the front facing everyone. Chris sits beside me, fidgeting with his wedding band. The room falls silent as Linda takes her place, hands clasped before her like a benevolent queen addressing her subjects. Thank you all for coming to support Amanda and Chris during this transitional time. Linda's voice drips with manufactured compassion. As you know, They've been trying to start a family for several years without success. The collective gaze of the room weighs on me like a physical presence. I maintain my smile, one hand resting lightly on my purse. Sometimes, Linda continues, we need to accept when God has other plans for our lives. Amanda, dear, I know how difficult this journey has been for you. A muscle twitches in Chris's jaw, but he remains silent. Always silent. Which is why, Linda reaches behind a nearby table. I wanted to give you something special today. Something to help you move forward on a new path. She presents a glossy gift bag with a flourish, placing it in my lap with a triumphant smile. The room watches expectantly as I part the tissue paper and withdraw the contents. It's a ceramic dog bowl, expensive, hand-painted with the name Fido in elaborate script. Linda's voice cuts through the confused silence. Since you can't give us a baby, I thought this might suit you better. Pets can be wonderful companions for childless couples. All the nurturing instinct, none of the disappointment. The room collectively inhales. Someone, possibly Taylor, mutters Jesus Christ under their breath. Chris stares at the floor, his shoulders hunched, saying nothing. Absolutely nothing. 5 years of pain, lies, and manipulation crystallize in this moment of perfect clarity. Linda has finally overplayed her hand. I trace the rim of the dog bowl with one finger, then raise my eyes to meet hers. The smile that spreads across my face seems to unnerve her. It's not the reaction she expected. Funny, Linda. I set the bowl aside and reach for my glass of water. I brought something too, something that might change how you see your precious son forever. The room goes completely silent. Even the distant ticking of Linda's grandmother clock seems to pause. What are you talking about? Linda's voice has lost its saccharine edge. I open my purse deliberately, extracting the sealed envelope. Did Chris tell you about our visit to the fertility specialist? Linda's gaze darts to her son, who has finally looked up, his face ashen. He mentioned you were being difficult about accepting reality. Reality, I repeat, savoring the word. Let's talk about reality, shall we? I break the envelope seal, removing the papers inside with steady hands. The reality is that after 5 years of trying to conceive, I finally got tested. My results were completely normal. Linda waves dismissively. Tests can be wrong. They can, I agree pleasantly. Which is why I had Chris tested too. The color drains from Linda's face. You did what? Well, not with his knowledge. Just a simple DNA sample while he was in Chicago. Very conclusive results, though. I extend the first paper toward Linda. Your son has complete azoospermia. He's completely infertile, Linda. Has been since adolescence, according to the doctor. Something you've known for 20 years now? Murmurs ripple through the gathered guests. Chris has buried his face in his hands, shoulders shaking. This is absurd, Linda sputters, not taking the paper. You're making this up. The prenatal vitamins in Chris's desk drawer. Your note about me, accepting reality, so he could move on with someone who could give him children. Was that your plan all along? Humiliate me enough that I'd leave so Chris could start fresh with one of your church girls. I stand slowly, power coursing through me. Only there's one problem with that plan. I withdraw the ultrasound image, holding it up for everyone to see. I'm 8 weeks pregnant. The room erupts in gasps and confused exclamations. Linda's mouth opens and closes without sound. Chris stares at the ultrasound picture, comprehension dawning slowly across his features. But, how? He finally manages. I meet his gaze steadily. Donor sperm. My egg. My body. By choice. Linda finally finds her voice, shrill with outrage. You went behind his back? You betrayed my son. The laugh that escapes me holds 5 years of pain. Betrayal? You want to talk about betrayal, Linda? After what you two did to me. I turn to address the stunned guests. For 5 years I've been told my body was failing. For 5 years, I've endured this woman's thinly veiled insults about my worth as a woman. All while she and her son knew the truth, that Chris couldn't father children and never told me before I married him. Amanda, Chris stands reaching for me. We can talk about this. We're done talking. I step away from his outstretched hand. I came here today to set the record straight before I leave. This baby deserves better than a family built on lies. I'll never forget the chaos that erupted after my announcement. Linda lunged for the ultrasound image, knocking over a tray of finger sandwiches. "You had no right," she shrieked, her perfectly coiffed hair coming undone. "This is my son's life you're playing with." Chris's cousin Taylor stepped between us. "Back off, Aunt Linda. Haven't you done enough?" The room fractured into factions before my eyes. Linda's church friends huddled around her, murmuring about moral decay and traditional families, while Chris's younger cousins and a few of our mutual friends moved protectively toward me. "Is it true?" One of Linda's friends confronted Chris directly. "Did you know about your condition before you married her?" Chris stood paralyzed in the center of the room, tears streaming down his face. "I never meant to hurt anyone," he whispered, the words hollow and insufficient. Taylor gently touched my elbow. "I've got my car outside. Need a ride?" Grateful for the escape route, I nodded. As we moved toward the door, Chris lunged forward, grabbing my wrist. "Amanda, please. Don't leave like this. We can work it out." "There's nothing to work out," I replied, gently but firmly removing his hand. "I'll contact you about arranging to pick up my things." Linda's voice rose above the commotion. "This isn't over. That baby." The door closed on her threats, and Taylor led me to her sedan parked down the street. "I always knew Aunt Linda was a piece of work, but this is next level," she sighed, starting the engine. "Where can I take you?" "My sister's place in Oakwood," I replied, the adrenaline that had carried me through the confrontation beginning to ebb, leaving exhaustion in its wake. Jenna didn't ask questions when I arrived at her doorstep with mascara-streaked cheeks. She simply pulled me into a fierce hug and whispered, "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out." That night, curled on her guest room futon, I told her everything. The infertility diagnosis, the years of lies, the IVF decision, the baby shower showdown. She listened without interruption, her expression shifting from shock to outrage to fierce determination. "You're staying here as long as you need," she declared when I finished. "And first thing Monday we're calling my divorce attorney." The following days blurred together, filing for legal separation, arranging for Jenna's husband and brothers to accompany me to the house to collect my belongings, screening calls from Chris who alternated between tearful apologies and desperate bargaining. "I'll go to therapy," he promised during one call I finally answered. "I'll cut Mom off completely. We can raise this baby together." "The foundation's too broken, Chris," I replied, one hand resting protectively over the slight swell beginning to form beneath my navel. "I can't build a life on lies." "Then we'll build a new foundation," he pleaded. "Fresh start. New house, new rules. Anything you want." Part of me, a small wounded part, wanted to believe him. But then I remembered the dog bowl, his downcast eyes as his mother humiliated me, the 5 years of silent complicity. "I'm filing for divorce," I said quietly. "I think it's best if we communicate through our attorneys from now on." 2 weeks later, Linda appeared at my workplace, her normally immaculate appearance disheveled, eyes red-rimmed. My co-workers, now fiercely protective after hearing abbreviated versions of what happened, formed a human barrier. "It's okay," I told them, though my heart hammered in my chest. 5 minutes in the break room. Linda sat across from me, hands trembling around a paper cup of water. For the first time since I'd known her, she seemed diminished, human. "I came to apologize," she began, voice barely above a whisper. "What I did was unforgivable." "Which part?" I couldn't help asking. "Convincing your son to lie to me for our entire relationship? Planning to replace me with someone more suitable? Or publicly humiliating me with a dog bowl?" She flinched. "All of it. I was wrong." "Why now, Linda? Because your plan backfired? Because people at church are talking?" Her gaze dropped to the table. "Chris hasn't spoken to me in 2 weeks. He says he never will again unless I make things right with you." A tear slipped down her cheek. "He's my only child. The only family I have left." Understanding dawned. This isn't an apology. This is damage control. "No, I truly am." "Save it, Linda." I stood, suddenly weary of the drama, the manipulation. "I accept your apology because holding on to anger isn't healthy for me or my baby. But we're done here. There's no relationship to salvage." As I walked away, she called after me, "The baby is still my grandchild." I turned back one last time. "No, Linda. Biology isn't what makes a family. Trust, respect, honesty, those make a family. Something to think about if you ever want to meet this child. Life settled into new patterns as my pregnancy progressed. The divorce proceedings moved forward with surprising smoothness. Chris didn't contest anything, agreeing to my terms without argument. When I declined his offer of child support, this baby was my choice alone. He instead set up a college fund in the baby's name, managed by an independent trustee. Small gestures that came too late to save what we had, but perhaps indicated he was finally growing beyond his mother's influence. Jenna's guest room served as my sanctuary for 3 months until I found a modest 2-bedroom apartment in a friendly neighborhood with good schools nearby. My friends rallied around me in ways I never expected, helping me move, accompanying me to Lamaze classes, organizing a genuine baby shower that celebrated rather than humiliated. Now at 6 months along, my daughter, yes, a girl according to the latest ultrasound, kicks vigorously as I arrange stuffed animals in her nursery. The room is coming together beautifully. Walls painted a serene sage green rather than traditional pink, with botanical prints framed above the white crib my colleagues gifted me. What do you think of this here? Taylor asks, holding up a dream catcher we found at the artisan market last weekend. After the shower incident, she'd reached out and we've developed an unexpected friendship. She's even agreed to be my birthing partner. Perfect, I reply, watching as she hangs it beside the window. My sister Jenna enters with a tray of lemonade, while my friend May finishes assembling the changing table. I ease into the rocking chair, taking in the scene, these strong women who stood by me, this room prepared with love for my daughter, this new life taking shape both within me and around me. Have you settled on a name yet? May asks, accepting a glass from Jenna. I place both hands on my rounded belly, feeling my daughter respond with a gentle roll. Hope, I answer, the name feeling right the moment it leaves my lips. Her name is Hope. The name isn't just for my daughter but for what she represents. The end of years living someone else's lies and the beginning of my own truth. The past 5 years tested me, broke me in ways I never imagined possible. But sitting here, surrounded by authentic love and support, I realize those broken pieces have been reassembled into something stronger, clearer, more honest. Not the life I once planned, but perhaps the one I was always meant to find. If this tale of sweet revenge kept you hooked, go ahead and hit that like button now. My favorite part was when Amanda calmly smiled and reached for her envelope after Linda presented the dog bowl. That moment when she said, "I brought something too, something that might change how you see your precious son forever," gave me chills. What was your favorite moment? Drop it in the comments below. Don't miss more thrilling stories like this. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.